Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Medieval Dynasty and I'm going to be bringing you a quick, it's kind of like a first impressions, but also I've played for probably about 30 hours so far, which, it adds up real quick. But anyway, so it's going to be a little 30-hour review, but first impressions is really more accurate. I just want to start off by saying this is an early access title. But unlike most early access titles, I don't have to include a huge disclaimer that, it's a work in progress, blah, blah, blah. It is a work in progress. They're updating it every single day. Every patch fixes tiny little things, but honestly, this is already a solid game. Most everything works. It doesn't glitch out very often. Actually, ever. I've never actually had an issue with it, and I've already put 30 hours into it. None of the updates have corrupted any saves or anything, so it's not like I'm constantly losing progress. And all of it, just all in all, the game is very well put together. Every once in a while, the only glitch that I've run into is, like, you'll get stuck. Like, if your mesh gets... maybe I can force it to do it. It's usually when you're, like, at the corner of a building or something. It's hard to describe. But they built in an automatic way to get around that problem. And it's, if you go here into the menu, unstuck, boop, pops right back out. So it's pretty cool there. But anyway, all in all, definitely a really solid game. So let's just talk about some of the good things and some of the bad stuff and what I've seen so far. Honestly, for the price, I think they're looking at I think it was like 25 bucks or something like that. I think it's very fair. Hell, if I only got 30 hours out of it, that'd still be more than some AAA games that I've played. Some of those I only pop in 30 or 40 hours and then I never touch them again, and that's 60 bucks. So for 25 bucks, this is definitely already a good game if this is the type of thing you enjoy. It's a simple crafting, survival, exploration, and a little bit of story game, but so it's got quite a bit to it for an early access title, especially if you're 25 bucks. It's got a real simple interface system. It's just, you click stuff like that, and then you can collect branches, stuff like that, cut down trees. You can build buildings basically wherever you want. So, I mean, if I don't have any resources on me, but I probably have... Oh, I don't even have enough to build a fire. I don't have a lot of resources on me because I was walking around. But you can pop things wherever you want as long as you're not too close to the next settlement. And there are quite a few settlements, so it's not like it's an empty world. You got settlements all over the place. Where each one is unique. They're not all clones or whatever. So there's people doing their own stuff, and in each one you'll find people that you can get missions from. So it never feels empty or boring. So that's, like I said, it's been a very unique experience for me when it comes to early access titles, because this is very well put together. Overall, I really enjoy the crafting system. It's very realistic in certain ways. Like, you have got to get the resources. Your basic resources are stone, wood, straw, clay comes into effect, stuff like that, but you gather it all through realistic means. You have to have tools to do it. You can't just go punch rocks. You need food and water or you will die, and it's relatively quick. Down in the bottom left corner, you'll see there's a green, a red, a yellow, and a blue bar. Green is stamina, red is hit points, yellow is hunger, and blue is thirst. And if you let those get down, like the blue and the yellow, and you can get poisoned by eating raw meat or poisonous mushrooms or whatever. And the healing system in the game is very simplistic. You've got two things to heal: St. John's wort and plantain for HP, and St. John's wort for poisoning. But so it's simple, but it works. It doesn't need to be a complex system where you have to make potions. If it's something like this, you got to gather resources. If you don't have them, you might die. First time I tried playing it, I died 3 or 4 times before I figured out how important it was to actually pay attention to those bars, keep myself fed, keep myself watered, And I also got mauled by wild animals once and got killed that way. So it's a fun game. It's not super difficult, but it is realistic in its simulation means. You need to make sure you're taking care of your basic needs. So far the missions are all very simple. Some of them are fetch quests, but most of them are some level of story behind them. They're pretty simple. I'm assuming more complex stuff will be implemented later in development, but that's not where it's at right now. As a summary of everything you can do in the game, you got fishing, you got hunting, building, mining, farming is a big thing. Farming, I didn't start that until the second year in the game, but it's definitely important as a money-making source and obviously to get food. And then a big part of it is going to be dynasty development, so thus the name Medieval Dynasty. You're going to want to build yourself a reputation, get a spouse, have children, all that sort of stuff, because if you don't, when you die, that's game over. Your dynasty ends with you. So that's a big part of it, but another thing is convincing people to join your settlement and then managing that. So it's definitely got a lot of stuff to it. This, as you can see, is one of the main settlements in the game. It's probably the main settlement in the game, where you'll spend most of the time. But, oh, and crafting clothing. You can craft specific types of clothing and everything, and you gotta use a spinning wheel and a loom and all this stuff. It's just, it's so much deeper than I thought this game was gonna be. Graphics, as you can see, are actually, I think they're pretty good. Sure, that we're not talking cutting-edge AAA titles right now, but that's not bad. It's arguably comparable to, like, the facial models and everything are comparable to KCD. I mean, maybe a little bit worse, but that's pretty close. And animations aren't terrible. I mean, people don't do a whole lot. There's not a bunch of, like, sword combat or anything like that. In fact, I haven't had any instance yet where I fought another human being. So I don't know if that's never going to be in the game or if it will eventually be a part of it. Or you could do it now and I just haven't been doing it. I don't know. There's a lot to do in this game and it's definitely very fun. For the money, I definitely recommend it. It's only been out for a few days and I've already sunk 30 hours into it. I can see myself putting just hundreds of hours into this game, you know, going forward from here, especially as a fan of KCD until the second one comes out, because this it's got the same feel, but it's so customizable. You can build whatever you want. You can live your life the way you want to. If you want to be a nomad who hunts all the time, that's up to you. If you want to start a farm, you can do that. If you want to make a smithy and start mining some iron and building tools and making a living that way, that's an option. You know, or you could be like me and do a little bit of everything so you can kind of keep moving forward a little at a time. It's so fun. There's a lot of complexities to it, but honestly, I really, really, really enjoy it so far. So, that is kind of my first impressions for this game. As far as a couple negatives go, it is early access, so if we just pop in here, you can see in skills, that's a good one to go to, because if I remember, one of these has a whole bunch of, okay, so you'll see things like work in progress. I haven't been using skill points on these because I don't know if they even do anything. So you can see there's definitely stuff that's not implemented, and one of those things is Night Rider, which says unlocks the ability to ride horses. So horses currently aren't in the game. What does that one say? During plowing and harvesting? Interesting. Anyway, so you can see that there's stuff that's not implemented yet. Diplomat, you know, a lot of these ones are not implemented yet. But you can tell that it being in the menu right here shows that they have the intent to do this. And honestly, at the speed they've been doing things so far, I don't think it'll take very long. So if they stick to this game, it'll be fully functional. I mean, it's already fun to play. Like, this is not something that I'm like, oh, trust me, wait, otherwise it's not worth buying. I think it's worth buying now. It's got a real simple system for quests and story stuff. Like I've already showed you the map. The map, I would say if there was a negative thing, and maybe they're doing this for realism, but you can't like put down markers or anything, like a waypoint. I really like waypoints in games like this. Now, it's not too hard to navigate because you've got a map that shows where you are, and the directions are pretty accurate, and it's got topographical features and stuff. So it's a usable map, but I would definitely like a waypoint. It shows kind of where you're at, so you can see I'm in year 4. Each season, there's 4 seasons, obviously spring, summer, fall, winter. Each one has 3 days. I'm not 100% sure about how long an in-game day is, but I think it's roughly an hour, maybe 2. It's hard to say. I could probably do the math if I calculated it out, but out of the time I played, obviously, some of those times were deaths and reloads and stuff, so it's probably not totally accurate. You can do all your city management here, so I have a settlement over by this little lake. I only have 3 people living in it, but you can kind of see like the buildings that I have built and my farm, and I don't have any animals, but if I did, you could see them. And I know for the farm, like you can click on it and select different crops to tell your people what to do. So it's definitely a very involved game. It's much more like a simulator than it is like an RPG, but it does have a lot of RPG elements. So overall, it's very fun. It's got, honestly, only minor flaws, little tweaks here and there that I would change. The carry weight is realistic. Chests, you can't just put infinite amounts of stuff in them. They all have limits, so it's just the whole game feels very realistic. The environment is very becoming. As you can see, it's the render distance. It's foggy right now, but even during the day, once you get out to about the tree line and everything, you obviously don't see any more in detail, but it's kind of the horizon, so it feels realistic. There's a bunch of different animals to hunt in the game. Some of them will attack you, some of them will run away from you. As I mentioned, you can fish. There's different things you can gather, different types of mushrooms, some of which you can eat, some of which are poisonous. It's very fun. If you like this type of game, I definitely recommend it. But that is kind of how I feel about it after 30 hours. Not really a whole lot negative to say. I was thinking, like, what could I say that's bad about this game to balance it out? Because otherwise nobody will think I'm credible. But honestly, I can't come up with anything that I really want to complain about for Medieval Dynasty. So if you haven't already, and you like this type of game, I just do very, very, very strongly recommend picking it up. Currently, as far as I know, it's only on PC, so unfortunately for any people playing on console, at least for the time being, I don't think you're going to be able to play this. But that being said, its PC requirements are not very high, so it's feasible that if you were to switch over into PC gaming, you would be able to play it. So that's kind of where I'm going to leave it for today. I know that's not a very long guide or anything, but like I said, I've only played it for 30 hours. So, once I hit 1,000, I'll do another review. And by then, I'll probably have more complaints. But I think that's all for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful if you were deciding whether or not you wanted to buy the game. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.